Hello and welcome to Tokyo to Mr. Arsenio Dominguez from the International Maritime Organization, and with us also Johannah Christensen, the CEO of Global Maritime Forum. We were supposed to have Jan Hielman here, who's the chair of Global Maritime Forum, but instead, so that's fantastic.
Instead, thank you. That's a good intro. Thank you very much for that.
And we're just gonna have a short conversation about we are gonna have a summit. There'll be 200 executives from the maritime industry, the wider maritime industry here. What are you looking forward to when it comes to having in-depth conversations?
You want me to start?
Sure, why not?
I want to understand the expectations of the work that we are carrying out at IMO. Understand also a little bit more the challenges, because I understand and I agree there's still challenges in order to achieve the goals that we have, but also what they are doing currently, and to be those early movers, those proactive stakeholders that can start to demonstrate that some of the actions that we have put in place in the discussions that we're carrying out can be met, and at what pace.
Right, because we are a little bit behind, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to the industry.
Yeah, that's certainly the assessment that we've made. We recently published a paper which was sort of assessing our progress towards 2030 goals, and sort of this idea of can we meet the 5%, for example, 5 to 10% goals are set out in the strategy, and not quite on track. and so really the conversations that I'm looking forward to is how can we get ourselves on track. And I'm a little curious by the point that you made just before, because we've had some internal conversations in the Global Maritime Forum about framing the conversations not about what can the IMO do for us, but what can we do for the IMO, and really having that as sort of foundation for the conversation, and really having, especially industry leaders, thinking about how their actions can be supportive of what also needs that IMO, rather than always the other way around, which is a little bit of a refrain, right?
But I like that. That's a very good point, because it's an interaction between all of us. This is not just IMO decarbonizing.
No.
This is all of us, as stakeholders, as participants in this amazing global industry, what we can actually do to decarbonize and understand each other. Because you just mentioned the 5%. It is a challenge, and we expect that as we move forward with the midterm measures, particularly the fuel intensity standard and the pricing mechanism, there will be more stimulation in order to increase the production and scalability of the alternative fuels. But again, it's the stakeholders that can help us to reach out to the energy sector that also need to take their steps based on decisions that they have taken in the past. For example, at the previous COP, when there was an agreement to transition away from fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And so in this conversation with most of the companies here are first movers and thought leaders on this, but there's also going to be some challenging conversations when it comes to fuel aggregation and moving ahead on this. Where do you see the difficult conversations or the difficult debate points?
I think a lot of it is about the pace of change, and we see even a forum such as ours, where we do have a lot of first movers there. There's nevertheless uplifting perspectives, and there are also people that sit in different parts of the value chain, and from that perspective have different views on what should happen next, who pays the price. Like all of these things, these are super difficult conversations to figure out what the solution should be. And so I imagine that some of them will be around that. But most of the time, what I experience in our summit discussion is nevertheless a willingness to say, okay, I might not share your perspective, but I'm willing to listen to what it is and figure out, okay, can we find a middle ground? Can we see how if I do this, you can do that? And really sort of try to find ways to make progress together. But there isn't a reverse group for this, and that's everywhere. Maybe more so even in your context, right?
It's the beauty of the sector, but also the beauty of multilateralism. We have the early movers. We have difference of opinions. That makes this not just challenging, but interesting. And that's the way that I want to frame it. We're very quick at looking in the negative way rather than into the positive aspects. There is a reality. You talked about what happens within IMO, is that not everybody is at the same level in order to be able to be part of this transition, and is how we as an organization, but also that's what I call for the sharing of information in how that can help those that are need more assistance. And whenever we talked about cooperation, it's one of those words that we tend to put out there very often. For me, is what are you doing to cooperate? How can you demonstrate that in that cooperation, we're also assisting those that need further support? So when we talked about the main statements of leaving no one behind, are we really looking into the actions that we can take to bring them on board and not to create even a larger gap between North and South?
And looking, you talk about positivity, looking back, like this is the 7th annual summit. It started in 2018, and looking that far back, actually, we have taken in the industry many positive steps towards solving these issues. So, what's your perspective on this journey, and what are the next few small steps you think we can take as an industry, as a community?
I'll take you first for the next few steps. And it's with what you started as an introduction, that we are not good at advertising the positive outcomes. And the GMF has provided a lot of information, a lot of experience into what has been done, and framing it into what else needs to be done. Because that will create more encouragement that, yes, this is possible, and we know that it's not going to be an overnight success, and that we need further understanding among ourselves. But that's something that I'm looking forward for the future of the GMF, because for as successful as it's been until now, I think that sometimes the visibility is not always there, and we can do more. But that's not just the GMF. This is, for me, shipping sector. We can be better and actually demonstrating that when we're good, we're really good, and that when we recognize that we need to do some work, we start embarking on it.
You want to add anything on the small steps?
Say it. Go on.
Well, I don't want small steps. I want big steps. I want the first springboarders in operations in the next few years. I think we need to see that. We need to see the first big contracts for zero emission fuel production in place. It's go time.
Mhm.
Like, we don't have time to sit around and wait, right? So, and so for me, that I not only want small steps, I want big steps that can really give us the confidence that we will succeed.
Can I say something? Because I like the approach that you're taking. Look at the big step, which is the green corridors. There's been a lot of development. We haven't seen them in operation right now, but it's getting very close to it. And for me, once you take that big step, which is happening in the next couple of years at least, what comes next? And this all the experience that we're going to get for what you just mentioned. So, I remain positive that those big steps are coming very soon.
Yes. And that a much wider cohort of stakeholders, as you spoke to just before, can actually learn from that and can build on that experience and really see, okay, these are not just pockets of change, but this is something that's going to affect whole chain.
The supply
scale
chain.
change
Yeah.
across the entire supply chain. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, big steps that will lead to acceleration. That's what we're looking for. I look forward to speaking with both of you over the coming 2 days, and have a great time. I think the conversation here will be very valuable.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.